to an episode of Off the Shelf. I'm your host, Dante, and this time what we found off the shelf was...
Piranha, the deadliest man-eaters of all. In schools of hundreds, they attack and devour anything that moves with razor-sharp teeth that can strip a man to the bone in less than a minute.
There'll be no way to contain them. They'll be able to swim up every river system in the country.
There's a school of piranha heading straight downstream towards your resort.
They'll kill us. All of us.
Science fiction.
They're here, and they're hungry. Piranha.
Piranha, released in 1978, directed by Joe Dante of Gremlins and Howling fame. Also produced by legendary producer Roger Corman. This film is a Jaws ripoff, a sharksploitation-ish type film, and Dick Miller is in it too. Pretty cool. He's like a legendary extra actor. He doesn't usually play a main guy like ever. But yeah, this film, for what it is, I think is very, very enjoyable. I overall think that the film was very fun, and that I'm pretty sure the movie knew what it was. Like I'm like 90% sure the movie knew that it was like, you know, like a shitty shark movie type, right? Even though there are no sharks in this movie, they're piranha. I do think that it's got the same, like, general plot of a shitty shark movie, you know? Like, the plot's basically, there are these, like, the movie opens with these two people swimming somewhere they shouldn't be. They get eaten by the shark or the, like, deep-sea monster, you know? The piranha, you know, they get, in this case, it's a piranha. And then, you know, there's the two main characters, you know, and they're, you know, trying to solve what happened here, and eventually they let the piranhas go, and now they're eating people in the river, and eventually they spread to, they spread into a resort, and they eat a bunch of people in a resort. They eat some kids in like a camp, I guess, like a kids camp, and then eventually, you know, also the owner of the resort doesn't listen, you know, like every character doesn't listen in all the shitty shark movies. They don't listen, and then of course the people get eaten in their resort, and you know, eventually they stop the piranha, but it, you know, a lot of collateral damage. A lot of people get eaten or injured, and yeah, basically it. They're trying to stop the piranha from spreading into the deep sea ocean, which, spoiler alert, even though the movie came out like 40 years ago, the piranha are not contained, and they're in the deep ocean now, which makes sense because there's like 4 more sequels after this. So, yeah. But yeah, overall, I do think the film is very simplistic, but I think that simplicity does, you know, benefit it, because I think this film did not need a super, like, in-depth plot. I think that's pretty obvious, and I think that this film is enjoyable because it's just fun, you know? There's a lot of ridiculous stuff. It's pretty funny, actually, I'd say. I mean, maybe it's just because I don't have a great sense of humor, but maybe that's it, but I think the jokes were actually pretty funny in this movie, and not like I'm laughing with the movie. Like, I think the jokes were pretty well written, to my standards at least. But I do think also that the gore of the movie, for the most part, is pretty decent. I think the gore is pretty good. There's a lot of blood, lots of blood. I think way more than Jaws. A lot more people die than in Jaws. Because Jaws is more about, like, you know, the thrills, you know, the suspense, the first summer blockbuster, and it was just, you know, all about, you know, the terror and the thriller of, you know, the shark, where it is. This movie was more a spectacle, and it was a B movie, of course, and the whole film is basically just, you know, like a piranha massacre, right? The piranhas are just massacring all these people, and it's great. Like, they just, like, swarm people, and they just chomp at them. They're, like, I think they're, like, government, like, military, like, biologically enhanced fucking piranhas, because it's, like, a failed government experiment or something. Like, something like that. That's why they're able to, like, be so smart, and they're, like, super strong. I think that's what it is. And some of the phony moments in this movie as well, that I mentioned earlier, why I thought the movie was pretty funny. Yeah, the jokes are pretty good, but I also think there's some, maybe intentionally, maybe unintentionally, I'm not sure, probably unintentionally, funny moments in this movie are pretty plentiful, I'd say. And one of them is there's a scene where, like, they just barely get to land, the piranhas are attacking them, they destroy their boat, and they just barely get to land, and the guy, he's like, oh no, they're gonna open the dam and let the piranha out into the ocean. So he's like, I gotta get there, I gotta stop him from doing it. And he goes, like, he starts running through the forest, and then it cuts to a cop, like, watching an old school black and white cartoon. Then it cuts back to him running, and then it cuts back to the cop. Then it cuts back to him running, and it does this for, like, a solid, like, minute or two of him just running, and then the cop just doing random bullshit until he eventually gets there. Like, it lasted really long, and it was pretty funny. And another funny bit is, like, sometimes when there's, like, a car speeding down the road, I think they didn't want them to, like, legit be, like, 100 miles per hour super duper fast, so they would just speed up the video to make it seem like they were faster. But the problem with that is you could like definitely notice that they just sped up the footage. And it's pretty goofy looking. And overall, I just think the film just is ridiculous because, I mean, it's about a group of killer piranhas eating people at, like, an island resort. And the people, instead of swimming to land, they swim to a raft that's just in the middle of the resort instead of, like, the land is the same amount of distance. Like, you could just swim to land. The piranhas can't walk. You can just swim to the shore. Same distance, dude. Like, would you rather get crushed by the weight of a giant raft under the ocean and then being eaten by piranhas at the same time, or would you rather just swim to land with minor injuries? I don't know. I don't really understand people, but yeah. Overall, I think the film very goofy but very fun, and I just think that I don't know. I think it's enjoyable, and as I said, it's self-aware. It knows what it is. At least I'm pretty sure it does, because But why I say I think because I watched it behind the scenes on the Blu-ray, and they were kind of talking about how, oh, it's so suspenseful, oh, it's so, like, so many thrills and stuff, and I'm like, we watched the same movie, because this movie is not very suspenseful, in my opinion, at least, because they were kind of, like, talking it up to be, like, a thriller, like a horror movie, and it seemed more like a comedy to me, like, or maybe, like, it felt like a B movie, and it didn't really feel like a thriller to me, definitely not, like, Jaws level. And they were kind of, like, building up to be like that. I'm like, did they really think they made, like, a thriller when they made this movie? Which is kind of weird to me, because I felt like the movie was aware of what it was. But maybe not. I don't know, maybe they were just saying that to say it. But, yeah, I don't think the film was very thrilling. Like, maybe not in, like, a thriller way, right? I thought the movie was fun, but it wasn't, like, suspenseful. There were so many, like, moments that were on the edge of my seat. No, it wasn't that kind of movie. And maybe it was at the time, but I don't, like, to today's standards, it's kind of goofy. But I feel like that's a given for most movies at the time. And yeah, I just overall think that the film did not feel like a thriller, so it's kind of weird that they were talking about it like that. But should I recommend this film? I'd recommend it for the most part. If you like B movies, if you're a fan of, sharksploitation type movies. This isn't exactly a sharksploitation movie because it's not sharks, but it's same archetype, right? Same idea. So if you like that kind of idea, kind of movies, I think you'll like it. If you like, those kind of, like, Jaws ripoffs at the time, you probably will like it. But if you are looking to find, like, an actual thrilling, suspenseful movie, you're not going to get that here. But if you just want to have a good time, definitely recommend it. So, overall, would recommend. I think I'd rate this film a 7 out of 10. Definitely an enjoyable film, and I would recommend it if you are a fan of this type of movie, and if you just want to have a good time. Definitely recommend it, and give it a 7 out of 10. And I think I've said all I need to say. I think I've said my piece. So guys, if you like this video, share, friends, subscribe, turn those notifications on, comment down below and mention you liked it. And I've been Runtime HD, chopping off. You know, guys, remember, if you have keys attached to somebody's pants, you can just rip the keys off the pants instead of taking off the pants altogether. Good advice for the future. Take it lightly.